Hello, relatives. Welcome to this week's Schlagbite for the week July 20th, 2009, entitled Red Boy's Fire. So I went on a camping trip with my sons and grandsons deep into the White Mountains of Arizona, into the heart of Apache country, to Reservation Lake, which is a pristine blue pearl at the base of Mount Baldy. It's accessible by 26 miles of dirt road. You really have to want to get there. Res Lake is surrounded by dense forests of aspen and ponderosa pine. Wildlife abounds. There are elk and deer, eagle, osprey, mountain lion, and bear, and the lake always has fish. It was perfect for my 8-year-old golden boy grandson's first camping and fishing trip. Bliss can hardly describe the perpetual smile on his face. He caught fish and he listened late into the night to campfire stories. There is just something about the brilliant night sky and the noises of the woods, the wind through the trees, and being alone in the forest that just makes stories more real. Some of those stories were mysterious and filled with mayhem and dread. Surrounded by dark forest, one can feel the presence of all those old Apache warriors whose spirits still roam around there, and in the wind and the forest sounds, you could almost hear their voices lamenting their fate at the hands of the white man. Fierce fighters who would like nothing more than to seek revenge on the descendants of their tormentors. The Apaches always had an attraction for the young, plump white men, I said. They were always the tastiest. You get the picture of where this story is going. One night after dinner, the fire had died down and only coals remained. My 16-year-old grandson, the red boy, was the fire chief, so he collected some kindling to ignite the flames and then sat in his chair and blew down on the fire. When the fire didn't burst into flame, he got up to get some paper. I tried to embarrass him, saying only a white man would use paper to light these coals. So I told him to get down on the ground and blow under the coals, not down on top of them. So we made a couple of cursory attempts and then got up. Got the paper, and while he was short of breath, watched as the wood blazed in just seconds. Sitting around the dancing flames, the devil just made me do it. I launched into a soliloquy that this just wasn't about the paper. It was about not always getting what you want immediately when you want it. That there are some good things that take time and you have to work at it, which is part of its goodness, yada, yada, yada. And then I closed with a chorus of, you can't always get what you want. And when I finished, he looked at me and said, you were born before paper was invented. This is how we do it now. And so we laughed, and I realized every time I go into the woods and sit around that grandpa fire, I hear a new ending to an old story. And I understand that there are many ways to light the fire. There are many ways to keep it burning, and you ought to try them all before it's time that the fire gets extinguished. Have a wonderful week in these hot days of summertime. I wish you well. Know that we are always connected to something other than ourselves. Stay connected as relatives. I say this for all my relations. Mitakweyasi.